name's Mila.
And I'm Joe.
And we're going to be talking today about transportation for the English language learning course today. That's what your study is for this week. So, Joe.
Yes.
So, what kind of transportation do you like to use when you just don't have very far to go?
Well, I'm a big fan of walking.
Oh, you brought pictures. Very nice.
Yes, I'm actually a big fan of walking. I like to get out and walk around and see the sights and get exercise, and helps me with my weight control.
Oh,
and I get to sort of see things that are going on around. Some other ways of getting around that we'll get to later. You're just sort of zipping through the world and you're not really seeing what's really there. But when you're walking, you get to see the squirrels and the dogs and the cats and the people mowing their lawns or, you know, doing whatever it is that they're doing. And so you get to see things. And plus with walking, you can go places that you can't go with other modes of transportation that we'll get to later. Like when you're in a car, you have to stay on the road. But when you're walking, you can go pretty much wherever you want to. You can go on the sidewalk. You can go on walking paths through woods and stuff like that, as these people are here. In fact, I did that just this morning. I took a walk that was partly through the woods, frozen rocks and stuff. It was a little slippery and treacherous, but it was okay. It was a lot of fun. I like to walk.
So when you're doing something like this in the woods, is there another name for that when you're walking in the woods?
Yeah, hiking.
Oh.
So hiking, walking is usually when you're just walking on a street or a path, but hiking is the term for if you're maybe going through dense woods or even up a mountain.
And so if you go, okay, strolling is slower, walking is a little faster, and then there's hiking. What if you're going even faster than that?
Well, some people like to go running or jogging. Jogging is kind of slower. Running is faster. The distinction with these is that if you're running or jogging, you're probably just doing it for exercise. You're not doing it to go somewhere in particular.
Okay, so what other things do, like if you have to go a little farther and you don't feel like walking, what do you do then? Well,
my favorite way to handle that is to get on a bike. I have a bike of my own, and so does Mila. Neither of these bikes looks much like Mila's. But I like to ride my bike places, and so sometimes that's for exercise. I just go out to take a walk around, a ride around.
Yeah.
Other times, I'm riding to actually go somewhere. And so one of the distinctions that's drawn out here is that some people have bikes of their own. But some people, like especially people who live in cities, don't have, either they don't have enough money for a bike, or they just don't want to own a bike of their own, or they don't have room in their apartment or their house or whatever to store a bike. So they don't own a bike of their own, but they'd still like to get around on a bike. So in cities, they often have bike rental companies. The ones in Boston is called Blue Bikes, and I used to ride that a lot. And the way that works is you just walk up to one of these stands that has a whole bunch of Blue Bikes docked at it, and you put your credit card or whatever in, and you ride away in a Blue Bike. And when you get to where you're going, you find another one of these stands, and you dock your bike in there, and it figures out how far you went and how much to charge you and that kind of stuff.
Suppose you want to go 50 miles and you need to get there, and you need to get some packages or anything like that, or what do you do then?
Well, if if you're going somewhere walking or on a bike, that's good because you're getting exercise and so forth. But it's really hard to carry anything heavy or large on a bike. Although in some countries, I guess they actually do this. But we would, I personally would take a car. So I have a car that looks like this, and you have a car that looks something like that, although that looks like a different model. But anyway, a car is useful if you want to go further away, and if you have stuff to carry. I sometimes have to carry building materials, so I even have them like strapped on the roof and sticking out the windows and stuff like that. It's probably not the recommended procedure.
Yes, it did look like you were jousting one time.
Jousting, yes.
Big poles
Jousting is good.
sticking out of it.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
so tell me about your first car.
My first car. What an awful car. My first car was a Chevrolet Vega. It was orange, and it was named Ursula. I don't know why. It just was. It was an awful car. I bought it for $350 from a guy in a used car lot, and I think he ripped me off. It wasn't worth that much. The first time I actually tried to drive it anywhere far away, the engine blew up. That was a lot of fun.
Oh, so you had to put a new engine in it?
Yeah, had to put a new engine in it, and it took. It was on a weekend that we were traveling, and so of course it takes a little while to do that. It takes a little while for the garage to even get a hold of an engine that they can put in, and then to install it. It usually takes several days. So.
So there's other ways. Okay, you'd be driving on roads if you have a car, or even in bikes, you drive on roads a lot. And then there's also a highway, which is a lot bigger if you want to go farther between towns and stuff like that. So like if you're on a road, that would be like going through country and there's houses around, right? But suppose you don't have a car and you want to get into Boston.
Well, yeah, I used to do that actually to commute to work. I take a train. So there's, we happen to be lucky. We live in Littleton, and I used to work in Cambridge, and there's a train, a commuter rail train, that goes directly from Littleton into Cambridge. So that's kind of handy.
Which one?
It's this one over here, the purpley one. The advantage of a train is you don't have to drive it. So you just hop in the train, give the conductor your money and stuff like that, and then you zone out till you get where you're going.
What if you need to be over here somewhere, and this only goes here and here? Is there anything else in the city that you could take?
Yes, there is. There are buses. So here are some pictures of buses over here. And so the good thing about buses is they go on streets. So trains can only go where there are tracks. So it's a very fixed route, and if you have people who live in a new neighborhood or something who need transportation, it's very difficult to accommodate that on a train. If you want to go to another city,
right.
Any of these trains we've been talking about, only these particular ones only go right within the Boston and the suburban area.
Right.
But if you want to go much further away, tell us about the Amtrak. Did you ever ride Amtrak?
I did. I've ridden a couple of times. I rode once to Philadelphia, a couple times to Philadelphia. But the big trip that you and I, remember that? We went to our son's wedding.
No, I blotted it out.
Yeah, Grandpa Clarence, he got married, that guy. And so I didn't want to fly. That's another thing we'll talk about later. And so it took us 23 hours to get there. But there was a stop in the middle at Washington, D.C., which was fun because we went to your office. You had an office there. We took a shower, we had breakfast, and we hung out because we were off for like 3-4 hours. We had to wait for the next train to come in. And then we finally got down there. But then we had to take a car from the train station for another 2 hours. But the thing that's cool about it is it's comfortable. I thought the seats were really good. Did you think they were comfortable?
Yeah,
Lots of room. People seemed to be friendly there. They weren't in a terrible rush. They couldn't be because it takes a long time. The fun thing is you get to sit with people that you don't know, and people expect that. So they're not.
For some people, that's fun. For me, that's not fun.
Okay, it was fun. I don't. You know what? Too bad for you. I enjoyed it.
You mentioned before the other alternative, if you're going really far distances, is to fly.
Ugh.
As you can tell, some people like flying and some people don't.
No, I mean, I'm not afraid of it or anything. It's just that I feel like it's crowded.
Yeah.
My ears, it's noisy.
Yeah.
People are in a rush to get places, so they're not friendly. I mean, you can't really see the scenery. There's your scenery.
Yeah.
Woohoo! You know, unless...
It's blue. The
It
scenery's
usually
blue.
is blue. It is cool. The first time I flew, though, I'm like... We went above the clouds, and I'm like... It's still blue, and it's cloudy. I had no idea.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of neat. But, I mean, it takes a long time to get to the airplane.
Yeah.
You think that you just get on the airplane.
Can you think of any other ways to get around?
If you want to go far away,
Yeah.
besides a car and a
Yeah.
plane? Well, it depends where you're going. Yes, you can go on a boat. For instance, if you want to get to Hawaii, you could take a train across the country, stop in California, get on a boat, then go out to the island, or to China, or anywhere across. I mean, you can't take a boat to Boston from here. I don't think.
No.
No, I'm wondering,
Not from here.
I'm wondering if there's
No.
a river.
No,
Nothing but that
no,
would fit on that.
no.
So I would call that not a boat. I would call that a cruise ship.
Yes.
Because you can see people, like, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 levels of 6, 7, 8 levels
Yes.
of people in there. Yeah. So, yeah, you could take a boat if you want to go far away. And something like that is a cruise ship. I've never been on a cruise. Don't really want to, but I've seen commercials for Carnival.
Your brother and sister-in-law are very fond of
They
them.
love going on cruises. And so there's a swimming pool on there. They'll have entertainment, restaurants. It's like a moving hotel.
Well, and the idea is it's a moving hotel when you're out in the ocean, but it also, most of them also go and stop places. Like they'll go to resorts,
Right.
and you get off the boat for 6 hours or something like that, and you can go walk around. And I've never been on one either, but like I said, her brother and sister-in-law are very
And we watch commercials.
fond of them. So, I mean, you can get off and go around, but then you have to get back on the boat by the time the boat leaves, and then the
Yeah,
boat
well,
goes
wait.
out to sea for a while, and so you get to watch the beautiful scenery of the ocean, which I would get bored by in a couple of days. But
The
other
Love
people-
Boat. Remember that? I love
Yeah,
that show.
that's a great show.
I love that show. And you can also go on rivers. They have river cruises too.
Yeah,
I wouldn't mind doing
smaller
something
boat than
like
this.
that. Yeah, like the Mississippi River, the Danube, and all kinds of stuff like that. That would be fun too.
There are also smaller boats that if you go to someplace like either Boston or Salem or New York, places like that, they have what are called cruises. And so you can just jump on the boat, and it goes out for a couple of hours and maybe an evening. Some of them have a dinner that they serve you as part of it. Some of them they're going to a specific place to sightsee.
Yep.
There are whale watching boats.
we did
and
that once.
Yeah, we did that once. You get on a boat and you go out to where the whales are. And I don't know why we're pestering these poor whales, but they are very beautiful to look at. And
Yeah.
you know,
You
and
see
so
porpoises. You see seals sometimes. Yeah.
yes, you do.
So yeah, when I was younger, I had a boyfriend whose friend had a boat, and we went out in Atlantic City, out to the ocean, and we went fishing. That was fun.
Yeah.
And I went with my boss once. We went floundering, caught tons of flounder. We were brigantine. So I don't know. Is there anything else?
No, that's
Cars.
it. That's so. Let's summarize. What modes of transportation did we talk about?
Well, we had feet. So that's like walking. And so you're a
Or
pedestrian.
strolling.
Yeah, it's a pedestrian. You would be a pedestrian.
Or hiking,
Jogging.
or jogging.
And running.
Yeah. And then we talked about bicycles. Either bicycles you own yourself or rental bikes.
Yep.
Those are handy either for transportation or for exercise. And then there's what was next? Cars. Oh
Automobiles.
yes, cars.
Yeah. A lot of people have those. Not everybody has a car though.
No.
Sometimes you have little trucks. Sometimes you don't have any at all. And you can use. We forgot about this. You can get a taxi.
Yes.
Or an Uber or a Lyft. You can call someone, they'll drive for you.
Which is a car, but you just don't own it.
Right, you have to pay for it. You can rent a car too.
Yeah.
But that's not free, you have to pay for those.
You can do that.
Yeah, and then there's
Cars, trains, various types of trains, big
Right.
trains, little trains.
Yep.
Some trains go just within a city.
Right.
Other trains go between cities. Other trains go all the way across the country.
Yep.
And then there's, what's your favorite type?
Airplane.
That flies. Yeah, airplanes. There's airplanes that fly. Yeah. Those are pretty cool. And then there's boats of various types. Little boats, big boats, all kinds of boats.
So, to wrap up our conversation, I'd like to thank you for listening in and having a few giggles, I hope, that we had here. And I hope you enjoy your conversation this week with your partner. And yeah, that's about it, right?
Great.
Okay.
So,
see ya.
bye.
Bye.